when making matcha, one of the most important things is to actually sift it before you use it. Most matcha is packed in a really small bag. And it's really, really compressed. So when you make matcha, or you add water and you try to whisk it, even if you do your absolute best, it's gonna accumulate clumps at the bottom. So in order to get something really, really smooth and to make your whisking a little bit easier, you wanna sift. So this is just a generic, really, really simple stainless steel sifter that we basically use in-house all the time. This is just a regular matcha container. Here we pre-sift all of our matcha at the beginning of the day just to make it easier and faster because of how many we have to use. When it comes to how much matcha to use, a lot of people ask me that. I say it should be your own personal preference. The average amount that you may want to start with is around 2 grams. What does 2 grams look like? It would basically be, so this is a chashaku, a wooden bamboo scoop. Whatever you can get on there, like a really nice big amount, that's about 2 grams. Now, with matcha, the more you add, the thicker it's going to become. The taste isn't going to be too intense, it's more about the texture, and then you can balance that with the amount of water that you want to use. So for this lesson, I'm just going to use one nice generic scoop. Then what most people want to do immediately is to actually start rubbing. What you want to do is push and rub, push, rub. And the reason why you don't want to rub too much is because you will start to create static electricity because of how fine this powder is. So you don't want to rub too much. Also, over rubbing will basically kind of get wooden pieces in there if you're unlucky. So you don't want to rub away at your tea scoop either. So you just tap it until we get as much of it out as possible. See, you already see some clinging, so that's just because of how dry the air is. That's just natural, and you want to try to avoid that as much as possible by limiting how much you actually rub. Okay, the amount of water to use depends on how strong you want it, how thick you want it, how quickly you want to drink the matcha, etc. With the traditional size for a hishaku, so this ladle, when we fill it all the way up and we pour it out, is approximately 3.5 ounces. Now, in the tea ceremony, what they do is they'll actually pour it. They'll save some, about like 5% of it, and then they pour it back into the kettle. So you're basically going to use around 3 ounces of water. So before I actually start the water process, adding water, I'm going to soak my chasen. So chasen is a Japanese bamboo whisk. This one is made in Japan, in Nara. It has a really, really nice slim handle, which will make it really nice and easy for me to handle, to hold. And the tines are are quite fine. This one is brand new, so as you can see, it's still curled in its original shape. After you use it and you add it to water, it will open up. This one has been used for almost 9 months here by staff, and we've made many, many, many bowls. So as you can see, this is what a new one looks like, and then this is what a used one looks like. Once you start to wear away significantly to these outside tines, you're gonna have to replace it. Unfortunately, at the beginning, your chasen is gonna take a lot of wear because you're just not used to using it. And at the beginning, you're really gonna, unfortunately, punish the whisk. But I'm gonna try to teach you to limit how much wear you put into it. So This is warm water that I basically got out of the kettle. So I'm just gonna let it soak for a little bit, move it around. It just makes the tines more malleable, and it won't absorb any of the water or tea when I put it in. You know, it's completely dry, so it needs to soak a bit. This one, if you notice, has cracked. When you bring in bamboo or a lot of other dry woods from Japan to America, they're gonna snap. That's just because of how dry it is here. You know, in Japan, during the summer, you have like 100% humidity. During the winters, you have around 60 to 80%. So it's very, very humid there. And these types of woods aren't really used to 0% like it is here, especially in New York. So you want to try to just keep them wet before you start, and that will really, really help you. As you can see, that little tie in the center is starting to kind of disappear now, and they're starting to flex. Right, let's add some water. So one thing about being able to make bubbles and foam, so the hotter or the liquid, the easier it's going to become. So if you take too long to start the process, the water temperature is going to continue to go down, and it's going to make it very, very difficult. That's also why in the summer, if you use cold water, it's really difficult to produce foam, and it just produces something completely different. So